A blind man's terrifying experience with AirAsia Philippines. The plane had landed, but my nightmare was just beginning. That gentle hum of the engines was gone, replaced by a dead silence. The happy goodbyes of the other passengers. They faded to nothing. I was alone, blind and abandoned in a metal tube by the very people who were supposed to guarantee my safe passage. This is the story of how AirAsia Philippines failed me, and why I'm convinced they are failing every single one of their disabled passengers. The plane had landed, but my nightmare was just beginning. That gentle hum of the engines was gone, replaced by a dead silence. The happy goodbyes of the other passengers. They faded to nothing. I was alone, blind, and abandoned in a metal tube by the very people who were supposed to guarantee my safe passage. This is the story of how AirAsia Philippines failed me, and why I'm convinced they are failing every single one of their disabled passengers. My journey started just like any other. I did everything by the book when I booked my flight. I went on the website, found the special assistance section, and I ticked the box for blind, visually impaired passenger. All I needed was a little guidance, a human connection to help me get through the chaos of deplaning and the terminal. The system confirmed my request. A promise was made. The flight itself was fine. The usual anticipation of seeing family. The familiar drone of the aircraft. It was all completely normal. As we started our descent, I felt relieved. The cabin crew made their final announcements, and I got myself ready for the assistance I was told would be waiting. The plane touched down, taxied to the gate, and the seatbelt sign clicked off. I waited patiently, like I always do. It's just standard procedure. Passengers who need help are supposed to get off last. It's safer, it's more orderly, and it avoids the big rush. I heard the shuffle of bags, the chatter of families, the hurried footsteps of business travelers, and then, those sounds just faded away. The cabin door clanked shut. A deep, sudden quiet fell over the entire plane. My heart started to pound. "Hello?" I called out. My voice just kind of echoed in the empty cabin. Nothing. "Is anyone there? I'm a blind passenger waiting for assistance." The silence that came back was terrifying. It was this heavy, metallic silence that tells you are completely and utterly alone. Panic, cold and sharp, started creeping in. Did they just forget me? I unbuckled my seatbelt, my hands shaking a little. I stood up, put my hands out, and took a nervous step into the aisle. The air was stale and still. I called out again, louder this time, with a shaking desperation in my voice. No response. For what felt like an eternity, I was trapped. A blind man, left behind on an empty plane. My independence, my dignity. It was all stripped away by pure negligence. The feeling wasn't just fear, it was this deep, profound humiliation. I wasn't a passenger, I was forgotten cargo. Eventually, a maintenance worker found me by pure chance. There was no apology, no airline representative rushing to see if I was okay. I was just led off the plane. That promise of assistance was now just a bitter, cruel joke. The airline that took my money, my trust, and my personal info had just shown me, in the most chilling way possible, that my safety was never their priority. To them, it was an oversight, a box that got ticked but never acted on. But for me, it was a terrifying look inside a system that is completely, fundamentally broken. I thought my experience was personal, a one-off, shocking failure. But when I started to dig around, I realized my story wasn't some freak accident. It was a symptom of a much larger disease of neglect. You might have seen the video that went viral back in September 2022. A paraplegic passenger on an AirAsia flight was forced to crawl down the aisle to get to his wheelchair. He was reportedly asked to pay about 40 Singapore dollars for an aisle wheelchair to move just a few meters to the exit. The footage was horrifying, a raw display of indignity for the whole world to see. The public backlash was fast and furious. One analysis showed that over 50.5% of the online discussion about it was negative. Keywords like video of paraplegic, down aisle, and disabled man aisle blew up on social media. It was a PR nightmare for AirAsia, but for the disabled community, it just confirmed what so many of us already knew. When you fly with them, your disability can be treated as an inconvenience to be ignored, or worse, monetized.
Of course, AirAsia issued a public apology. Their chief airport and customer experience officer, Kesavan Sivanandam, said, "We have procedures in place for the carriage of disabled or mobility-impaired guests, including the provision of an aisle wheelchair, which is highlighted during the booking process and can be booked in advance."
See the emphasis there? Pre-book. The responsibility gets shifted right back onto the passenger. But I did pre-book. And while it's unclear if the man who was forced to crawl had pre-booked, the airline's immediate response was to point to their policy, not their failure. It's a pattern. Just look at forums like TripAdvisor, and you'll find people calling AirAsia's wheelchair service the worst, even though it is a paid service. There's a massive systemic gap between AirAsia's policies on paper and what disabled passengers actually live through. Trying to get answers for what happened to me was like screaming into a void. I was pointed toward AirAsia's customer support system, which feels like a digital fortress designed to keep you, the passenger, as far away as possible. The main gatekeeper is Chat with Bo, an AI chatbot. You type complaint. It asks for a booking number. You pour your heart out detailing a horrible experience, and it gives you a list of categories to choose from. Guess what? There's no option for left to rot on an aircraft because of your gross negligence. This is what corporate accountability looks like now. An automated, impersonal system that deflects, frustrates, and ultimately silences people with legitimate problems. It's a digital wall that protects the company from the human results of its failures. Their official policies are just as baffling. On AirAsia's own website, they say there's a limit to how many passengers needing wheelchair services can be on a single flight for safety and operational reasons. Just think about that for a second. They are literally capping their capacity to care. If you happen to be the fifth person with reduced mobility trying to book a seat, their system might just say no. You are effectively too disabled for that particular flight. And they openly state that if you fail to pre-book, even though we know pre-booking doesn't guarantee a thing, the service might not be available. While they say fees are waived for those with a valid disability card, the fact that their first impulse is to charge for basic accessibility tells you everything you need to know. This isn't about one employee having a bad day. This is a business model. It's a calculated system where the dignity of disabled passengers is put on a scale against operational efficiency and cost. And we are the ones losing. This shouldn't be happening. Here in the Philippines, we have laws created specifically to stop this kind of discrimination. The Magna Carta for Disabled Persons, or Republic Act 7277, is crystal clear. It declares that disabled persons are part of Philippine society and that the state will give full support to the improvement of the total well-being of disabled persons and their integration into the mainstream of society. Section 34 of this law even says it's discrimination for any air-sea land transportation to refuse to carry a passenger just because of their disability. And there's more. The Philippine Air Passenger Bill of Rights demands that airlines provide special assistance to persons with disabilities. It even specifies there should be at least one dedicated check-in counter that prioritizes PWDs. The laws are there. They are clear, powerful, and they are not suggestions. So why does it feel like they're being completely ignored? The answer seems to be a corporate culture that values profit margins more than people. It's a culture where the frontline staff often aren't empowered, or maybe not even trained. to make basic, compassionate decisions. Instead, they have to follow rigid procedures that might save the company a few pesos, but can cost a passenger their dignity. Just this past May of 2025, AirAsia Philippines announced with a lot of fanfare that they were deploying full customer support teams and opening special counters for passengers needing assistance to reduce stress during peak travel. But what good are special counters and press releases when the fundamental promise of care is broken? The second that cabin door shuts, what good are initiatives on the ground if you get left behind in the air? These gestures feel so hollow, like a reactive attempt to manage their image, rather than a real commitment to fix a deep-rooted problem of neglect. This whole experience has left me with a choice. I can either retreat, accept this humiliation as a personal loss, and just live in dread of the next time I have to fly. Or I can use this moment to demand something better. I'm choosing to demand better, and I need your help. First, know your rights. Get familiar with the Air Passenger Bill of Rights and the Magna Carta for disabled persons. These are laws, not favors. Airlines have a legal and a moral obligation to provide assistance. Second, share this video. The only thing that makes big companies like AirAsia change is public pressure. They counted on me to be silent. They count on all of us to be silent. Let's prove them wrong. When you share this, you're casting a vote for accountability. And finally, if you or anyone you know has been discriminated against or neglected while traveling, share your story in the comments below. Let's build a public record of these failures that they can't ignore. Let's turn this comment section into a testament of our collective demand for basic dignity. Being disabled is not a choice, but treating disabled people with respect, empathy, and decency is a choice. My abandonment on that flight wasn't just some mistake. It was the result of 1,000 small choices made by a corporation that decided our safety is an acceptable risk and our dignity is disposable. We aren't cargo. We aren't an inconvenience. We are human beings, and we demand to be treated like it.